Hello guys, welcome to Titiksha Legal. Today we are going to look at how to build a Moot memo from scratch. So in a Moot code competition, the grading or the points are given based on how well you have drafted your memo, how well you have researched for it, and how well you have argued your client's case. So let's just look at how a memo looks like. As you can see on the screen, this is a petitioner's memo, and each memo has certain components. For you guys to understand better, I have taken like a memo with a real problem, and I hope you guys can see the problem on the screen. So this was one of the problems that was given in one of our college internal rounds, and I'm using this. So just check out the description. I have given a link to this so that you can read the problem, so you'll have an idea what is actually happening here. Right. Having said that, let's just look at the components of the memorial. So this is the cover page. So for like in any moot competition, you will have a set of guidelines which will be given. For example, I'll just show you my college guidelines for this specific moot I did. This will depend on the moot you're doing. So just don't blindly follow these guidelines for any moot. Just check. So now, what does this say? It says the memorial shall consist of the following mandatory heads: a cover page, a table of contents, index of authorities, index of abbreviations, a statement of facts, issues raised, summary, arguments advanced, final submissions, or prayer. Great. So now that we are at the cover page, let's just look at the cover page. And keep in mind, you need to follow these guidelines word to word because there'll be a penalty for, like, you will just lose points. Like there'll be like either 1 mark or 3 marks for not sticking to exactly what is said. So it says the cover page will contain the following things, and make sure it contains only these. If you add anything or you miss out on anything, you will lose points. So just don't lose points over, like, very trivial things like this. So anyways, this says it must have the team code in the upper right hand, the name of the code, year of the competition, and cost title. Cost title is basically the name of the parties to the case. So you can refer to the problem because that's where I have got the name of the parties and the forum in which they are arguing, case number, etc. So we have the team code, we have the forum in which they're arguing, we have the year of the competition, we have the cause title, we have Nova Prime as the petitioner and Guava Inc. as the respondents. And so, because this is a memorandum filed on behalf of the petitioners, we specify that here for respondents will be respondents. Because it is the petitioner's memo, it's in blue color. If it's the respondent's memo, it's going to be red in color. How do you get this colors in Word? So we basically copy paste it from a older memorial or a serious memorial. So I'm just giving you these memorials in the description, so you can just take these color blocks and copy paste it on your memo. Okay, so table of contents. So we'll do one thing. We will build our memo simultaneously. So let's just do this parallelly, right? So cover page, it's not much. I mean, you can just copy paste this one. I'm giving you this entire memo in the description anyways. So let me just copy this one page and paste it here. Okay, I'm a bit paranoid about not having a border, so let me just add one. See, though, I prefer this border, like, this is like a very personal choice, but this is what I would prefer. All right. So we have the cover page. Great. Now let's just look at table of contents. So what we are going to do is we are going to insert the heading. So I go to home, I type table of contents. Um, so if before that, let's just look at the guidelines for font. Okay, so it says let's just look. It says, I think, font is Times New Roman and the size is 12. Let's just see. It says font type Times New Roman, font size 12, line spacing 1.5, margins 1 inch on each side. So let's just set this for once. We're going to check the formatting again. It's always a rule that once you're done, you check this over again. But for now, I'm doing Control A or select all. We go with Times New Roman, size 12. Um, and line spacing says 1.5. All right, that should do. Let's just adjust this, right? Great. Uh, right. So we have written table of contents. So just to make things easier, as you can see on my screen, I'm going to heading 1. So because I want all the headings to be formatted similarly, and this is clearly heading 1. So double click on it, click on modify. You can design this according to how you want it, but it's again here also you need to follow guidelines. So it says Times New Roman 12 is what you need. Many people prefer adding a border because it looks neater. So we'll just add a border. All right. Okay. So let's get this in the middle. Right. That should do. So now if I just click on table of contents and put a heading, select heading 1. Uh, this is what I get. So this I'm going to do to every heading, which I consider as heading 1, right? And also just put a page break after each section. You're putting a page break because you don't want your content to keep moving. You want each section as a separate section, right? So after table of contents, let's look at our memo. What do we have? So let's look at this one. We have table of contents, then we have index of abbreviations, then the index of authorities, of course, and then we have statement of facts, issues raised, summary of arguments, then we have arguments advanced, and I think then it would be just the prayer. All right. So all these headings, we are just going to put it as like heading 1, the way we put for table of contents. So I'm going to write index of authorities, and then I go heading 1, right? Next we're going to do it, and then we're going to add a page break here. Right. After page break, then we're going to have index of abbreviations. Page break. Then we're going to have a statement of facts. And like, I mean, if you're wondering, like, why am I choosing heading 1 every time I type something? Why can't I just do this for, why can't I just type it out and put a border separately, or just write every heading separately? So if like I do this, I do heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, I'll get a perfect table of contents. I can just insert it in the end. So let me just show you. Like, so if I go to references and table of contents, and I just say insert table of contents. So I have like index of authorities, index of abbreviations, and statement of facts is what I have put till now, right? It will just come and you can update this each time, right? For now, we'll just remove this. Um, Right, we have a statement of facts, then we're going to have a summary of arguments. We say summary of arguments. Then we'll have arguments advanced. And finally, we're going to have the prayer. Right? So we have the main headings ready. Right? Now let's just look at how to go about each of this. So this is the actual memo which you're able to access, I believe. Right. So I just showed you how to insert this table of contents, right? So like all these which you can see bold here, all these are heading 1. This is heading 2. This is heading 3, heading 4. You can have as many like categories you want. Let me just show you with the memo we are just building. So let's look at this. So for example, uh, I go to arguments advanced, right? And I'm just we'll just take the same argument. Says the anti-arbitration injunction passed by the NCLT is legally enforceable. So the anti-arbitration injunction is legally enforceable. All right. This is, say, the first heading. And so I'm going to make this heading 2. Heading 2 also modify according to the font. So I'm modifying it to say Times New Roman, justified alignment, font size 12, keep this black. We don't want a border for this because it's a subheading. So we won't add border, and that is it. We choose this and we click on heading 2. All right. And let's say we have a subheading. So let's just make this one. And then we'll say we have a subheading which says whatever the anti arbitration injunction is legally enforceable because you can't arbitrate an issue of oppression and management. So you just say oppression and mismanagement cannot be arbitrated. I mean, an issue. All right, and we're going to make this a subheading. So I'm clicking on heading 3 here. Again, let's modify this. Times New Roman 12, black, justified alignment. That should do. Let's click on heading 3 and then we'll just do this, right? All right. So now let's just go to table of contents, and I'm just doing this to show you how it's done, because you've already seen how it looks in the other memo, but nevertheless we'll do it once again here. So I'm clicking on references, I'm going to table of contents, and I like the formal one, so I'm choosing this. So I hope you can see this clearly. So let me just format this as well. And right. Now can you see here? Arguments advanced, this is heading 1, this is heading 2, and this is heading 3. All right. In a Moot, it's good to have 4 layers of heading. I mean, it's preferred that minimum 3 and max 4 layers like this. or 40 years for your argument. So it's easier to read and makes the argument better. Right. So this is how we insert the table of contents. Right. Now let's move on to the next aspect. After a table of content, we have index of abbreviations. So index of abbreviations is basically, so all the moots, they have a word limit for each section. So often you can't make your argument very persuasively with a very short word limit. And it sometimes, not sometimes, it is always irritating to keep using the same term again and again. Like for example, how many times will I be using the word share purchase agreement or entire Supreme Court or something like this? So we just use the abbreviations. So this is basically a list of abbreviations you have used. What you have to keep in mind is, like in your like mood memo, if you're using an abbreviation, you need to like indicate it in your argument at least the first time that you are using this abbreviation. So let's look at one of the let's look at SPA, right? See, first, the first time in the memo when I'm referring to share purchase agreement, which is in the statements of facts, for the first time I am writing the entire thing. It is only after that I will be using the short form SPA. All right, and yeah, just put it in these inverted commas and brackets. Looks presentable, easy to understand, and make sure for the first time you have spelled it. Okay, don't just make a table and directly start using the shorter version. At least once in your memo, the entire full form should appear. All right. So that is pretty much for index of abbreviations. I mean, the way you want it to look is again a matter of design and a subjective opinion. But the easiest thing for you to do is just copy paste this and change the content from here. All right, that is for index of abbreviations. Or if you want to build it from scratch, let us just do that as well. Why not? So here it is. Let's go to index of abbreviations. I'm going to insert a, right? We have a table here. So we are going to write so anything, it can be anything, whatever short. Say we write CEO, then here it will be Chief Executive Officer. We got this by CH. Chief Executive Officer, right? Then you can have SC, Supreme Court. You might want to move it a little down because it looks cluttered. All right, then you can align it to the center, looks neater. You can put this in bold. I mean, this is all like the beautification part. No, just the better your memo looks, better your chances, because anyway, so this is how you build it. I mean, you can make it more creative. Why not? So you can like change the color of few cells. Say I do this alternatively the way we have done in the other memo, right? All right. So that is index of abbreviations. Let's move ahead. Now, index of authorities. So basically, this section contains all the cases, journals, statutes, international agreements, treaties, journal articles, books you have cited in your arguments. Cited as in here, like if just look at the arguments. Each argument I am making based on a particular source, and that source is cited in the footnotes, right? Companies Act, needle industries versus needle industries, and this is probably another case, Manmohan Singh versus venture capital properties. Then this is a journal article, R.D. Horton arbitration, right? These are cases. Companies Act as a statute. So basically, all the sources. So, I mean, if you're worried, you have to type out everything. You don't have to do that. There's a shortcut to this. I'm just going to show it to you right now. So, yeah, so let's just insert the table of contents, right? I mean, index of authorities. So let's just go to my argument section where we have written down something that is not that great. Um, Anyways, an issue of what is this operation and management cannot be arbitrated because um, because the Supreme Court has held that an issue of public policy cannot be arbitrated. Arbitrated instead of public policy, let's just say uh, that a right in rem, that would be a better way to go. Right in rem cannot be arbitrated. How do I know a right in rem cannot be arbitrated? There must be some case. So I'm just typing. You can go and do your research. It's all in the other memo if you want it specifically for this problem. But anyways, this will depend on the moot code compression you are doing. So I'm just gonna write any case name. So I say ABC versus uh, XYZ. We say a right in rem cannot be arbitrated as it will be against public policy. So these are like random arguments. I'm not basing it on the problem. I mean, you can go read the problem and read the actual arguments in the other memo. I'm just doing this like a demo for you guys. So, say this is in some journal article written by, I don't know, Mr. PQR. We don't say Mr., we just say PQR. PQR, maybe he's written it in an article called Arbitration in India. Then I'll write the name of the journal, say ABC Journal, volume 5, page 34. All right. Okay, before we move on, now that we are doing footnotes, check the guidelines. Either it will be Blue Book or Oscola. Most of the time, it has to be either of these. If it's something else, please make sure your citation is exactly according to whatever the guideline says, because all these carry marks, points in your moot memorial. So please make sure that you are following the right format in footnoting. Apart from like how you are framing your argument in the arguments advanced section, what the judge will also look at is how good your research is. And by how good your research is, what the judge is looking at is whether you have relied on the latest case laws. Okay, because if you are dealing with a problem which has, I don't know, recently been decided in say 2025 or 2026, and you're using a, I don't know, 1998 case in favor of your argument, it does not have much value. So just make sure that you have found the latest case law arguing your position, right? Now let's just look at this. See, this is Needle Industries case. This is a 1981 case. Does this have a lot of value? Well, not really. But does it mean you should not cite it in your memo? No. Cite every case that is in your favor, because bigger your index of authority table, the better. But make sure you have a recent case, right? Or else there's no value to this case which has been cited here. So let's look at which is the latest case that has been cited here. So this is a 2013 case, still not very good. Um, this is a 2011 case. The judge still won't be impressed. So See, this has value. This is a 2020 case. This is a 2024 case. When this Moot memo was made sometime in 2024. So this is a very latest case which is of relevance. This is a 2021 case. This also, this basically shows that your research is good. Make sure that you have read the case, the latest case that is making a similar argument. So let's just look at the so footnotes, right? Footnotes, great. So citations, so mine says it has to follow Oscola. So that's what I have followed for the memorial. And then there's formatting specifically for footnotes. So see, formatting specification for footnote, it says Times New Roman, font size 10, single spacing between lines, double spacing between two footnotes. Wait, let's just do this and then come to index of authorities. So here are my footnotes. I'm selecting my footnotes. Times New Roman 10, justified. And let's go to line spacing. Single space between lines, double space between two footnotes. So let's just look at the spacing, right? So it says line spacing options. So it says single spacing between lines and it says double spacing of 6 points between two footnotes. All right. All right. So that's the formatting of a footnotes. And now let's look at how to insert the index of authorities. So what we're going to basically do is we're going to mark citation. So how to mark citation? I'll select the name of this case, right? And then I'm going to go to references. I'm going to click on mark citation. All right. You have categories here. If your Word doc does not have categories already, I'll just show you how to make the categories. For example, in mine, the category is already there, and because ABC versus XYZ is a case, I select cases and I say mark. All right, mark and close. I go to home. So don't be worried if you see something like this on your screen. All right, just go to home and click on this. It'll come back to how it was before. All right, and say this is a journal article. We are doing the same thing. We are going to references, mark citation. See, it's in cases. This is not a case. It says other authorities, rules, treaties. We want one which says journal article. So I'm just selecting a random number here. Probably even you will be seeing random numbers like this, which you can change. So we click on it. We click on set category. It says replace 8 with. So I'm going to type journal articles here. All right. And then we say replace. All right. And you say okay. So now we have journal articles category and we have PQR. We mark citation, close, come to home, click on this paragraph, right? So now how to insert the authorities, index of authorities. So I'm going to go to references. And you see this insert table of authorities. I click on insert table of authorities. You can choose any template, classic, distinctive. I usually go with the formal one. Uh, it's your choice. So you click the one you want and you say okay. So you have heading which says cases where your case is given, and then you have the journal article section. So you can add different categories and you'll have like a lot of citations based on the number of arguments you're making. So see, your index of authorities will look something like this. Saying it again, you'll find this link to this in the description. So make complete use of it. All right. Right. Now this is how you mark citation. Let's come to statement of facts. So what you're basically doing in statement of facts is don't take a side. Okay. Just neutrally present the facts. You can't be like, for example, in this, I think it says Noah Prime is the petitioner, and you can't just go about saying that Guava Inc. did that wrong. Don't do that in the facts. Just just be neutral throughout. It must capture like let's just look at the problem. Okay, so this is the case study, and this case study is how many pages? 18 pages, right? You're basically summarizing this 18 pages in how many words? Let's look at the policy. It says, facts. It says statement of facts not exceeding in 700 words. So you're basically summarizing 18 pages in about 700 words. So you must be very careful about how to include the facts, what to include, and it must be easy to read, easy to understand. Saying again, don't argue here. Most of the people would prefer inserting a table like this, all right, or a graph or something like that, where, I mean, again, just check the guidelines. Some don't allow graphs, tables are allowed generally. So put the dates, say what happened. This makes it very easy for the judge to go to the timeline and for you also to understand it when you are pleading, right? So do a good job with the facts. It's not something difficult, and preferably add some visual things like this, because look, nobody would be interested in reading such a long paragraph, right? So shorten your paragraphs and add some tables. That should do. Issues raised. So in this memo, I've just argued two issues. So if you look at the actual problem, there are four issues, right? So let's just look at the issues that are considered here in this. Again, saying you can access this. The link to this is in the description, so you can access the problem. See, it says during the procedural hearing on 28th June 2024, the arbitral tribunal has identified the following issues. So you have four issues here. The sample memo I'm giving you has argued two issues. You have to argue based on whatever is the issue is there in your competition. If you want to just practice for fun, great. I have done two issues, you can do the other two, right? So in issues, you're just going to copy paste these issues. Don't try to be creative and write a long paragraph for under the issues section. Just copy this and paste it in the issues section of your mail. All right, great. uh, we are done with issues raised. Now we have summary of arguments. You will draft this after you have drafted your arguments advanced. This is like the one of the last things to do in your memo, because you can draft this only after you have drafted this and you know what you have argued in your uh, argument section before writing the summary. Uh, See, in this sample memo, it's a paragraph, but make it visually engaging in the sense that say one, two, three, even in your summary of arguments, so that if somebody looks at that summary, they must just know what are the three main points you're arguing, and that summary must just give the idea that, like, they need not, it should not be that they'll have to read the entire arguments advance, right? In the summary, they should just know that you know the laws that is in your favor, that is definitely in your favor, and make sure you have included it in your summary. Yeah, all right. So see, for example, what is it? It says petitioner asserts that, see, it'll be nicer if you say A, that the arbitration injunction passed, blah, blah, blah. The validity must be upheld in the well recognized principles of international comedy. Then, the second, the petitioners, it is also asserted that, or wait, that's A, so this will be B. Right? Do something like this. Don't just write a long paragraph, and the judge should just understand what you have argued. All right. Then we have come to the actual arguments advanced section. I already showed how you should, like, you already saw how you have to go about this, right? Like when I was showing you the table of contents, I showed you that you must have one main argument. Then in the main argument, you're saying what are your three sub arguments. So you see here it says the petitioner submits that the what is it first? It says an anti-arbitration injunction has been power to issue an anti-arbitration injunction has been well recognized. when the subject matter of the arbitration is inarbitrable. This is your first point. Secondly, use terms like firstly, secondly. Okay, this is preferred in a memo. It becomes easy for the judge to read and for you to plead as well. Secondly, it says when there is a prima facie case, you're basically asking for an injunction, right? So we say prima facie case, balance of convenience favors the petitioner. And thirdly, it says that the arbitration proceedings are oppressive, vexatious, or inequitable. So these are your 3 points. Then you go about arguing each of your point, right? You have the issue of oppression and mismanagement is inarbitrable. So be very careful about like how you are framing your main arguments, because see these like subheadings and main headings which are like not paragraphs, you're basically putting it in bold or you're putting it in italics, and a judge, he or she won't prefer reading like paragraphs. They will just understand whether you know the law that favors you by reading this. The issue of oppression and mismanagement is inarbitrable, right? So frame it well, so that it is conveyed, and just observe the format in which this argument has been drafted. It's usually in the format of ILAC. So we already had the issue. Then here, this is the law. The fact that issue of oppression and mismanagement is not arbitrable is a law, right? And so in ILAC we have the issue, now we have the law. Then we are going to say application to our case. So now this will be application to facts. The next point will be application to facts. So this is still 1.2, right? So then we're going to come to 1.3. Right? I hope you're able to see, like in each of these arguments, we have just first stated the law and said how it applies particularly to our case. Right? I hope that is very, very clear. Just open the memo and just read through it once. Right. So let's just move on to the. Again, the next issue is on issue estoppel. You can read it yourself, but I hope you get the idea of what is being said. See, in your conclusion, you're saying relying on the aforementioned principles, it is submitted that this relitigating this issue before the arbitral tribunal will be an abuse of the process. So, like, frame your conclusion in a very appealing manner. And this memo, the sample memo is not very like, just make sure like whenever you're using a case in your memo, it is in italics, looks more presentable. I have to, right? So all this. And it's not necessary that you name all these cases here in your paragraph. You can just put it in the citation, right? Okay. So what do we know about argument advance? Follow the ILAC method. Make it visually appealing, right? Present it well. So that's about it for arguments advanced. Let's move on to the next one, right? Let's look at the prayer now. So what we often do in prayer, like you can just copy paste this because this will remain the same for every problem. So let's just go to our problem, right? We'll go to prayer. So let's just put this. Wherefore, in light of arguments raised, issues raised, arguments advanced, and authority cited, it is humbly prayed that this honorable tribunal, don't use tribunal if it's not a tribunal. Look at which forum your competition is about. So it can be the court, it can be a tribunal, it can be anything else. So be very careful. So this can be court as well, but because this is before the arbitral tribunal, so we are just going to say tribunal. All right. So, and A, here you say what you want the court to declare. So, for example, let's just look at our issue, right? We have not pasted our issues here, I believe. Let's look at the other memo. So, the issue is whether the arbitral tribunal can proceed with the arbitration proceedings. So, either way, so you'll be arguing for either side, right? So, if you're arguing for, say, this is for the petitioner, right? So, it's Nova Prime. So, it says it is the Honorable Tribunal may be pleased to hold, adjudge, and declare that the present arbitral proceedings can proceed despite the anti-arbitration injunction, or the present arbitral proceedings cannot uh, are invalid or constitute an abuse of process because of the anti-arbitration injunction, right? Or similarly, the next prayer is for issue estoppel. So let's just read the final prayer here, okay, instead of typing it all over again. It says, uh, so because we have even argued that that the NCLT's order is valid, you say order of the NCLT granting anti-arbitration injunction is valid, right? And the order of NCLT dated whatever acts as an issue estoppel. But make sure it's centered around the issue, right? So it says the order of NCLT granting the anti-arbitration injunction is valid. Therefore, it would be an abuse of the process to proceed with the present proceedings, present arbitration. Okay, make sure your prayer is complete, right? Similarly, this should also be centered around the issue. But one thing, be very, very careful. A court can't grant you something you have not prayed for. So, when you're pleading, make sure you definitely tell your prayer and don't miss out on anything. Like, whatever relief you want, you have to specify it in your prayer, or else there is no point of you arguing so much if you are not specifying what you want from the court or the tribunal, right? So, please make sure everything you want is in the prayer. And great. So respectfully submitted on behalf of the petitioner, counsel for petitioner, all this you can just copy paste, right? So I guess that's the end of it. We have looked at the entire memo. So I'm giving you the respondent's memo, the claimant's memo, the sample problem, and even the rules. In the description, go check it out because having a good sample really helps in learning. And that comes to the final thing. Okay, so this is like the most, what should I say, irritating part of a Moot memorial is this formatting guidelines. Okay, please know header, footer included in the memorial. What does this mean? This will probably be in every memo. Okay, so for example, if I put a header here, all right, this formatting should be according to what is in the memo. So you select all, you say Times New Roman 12 justified and 1.5. If you forget to do this, irrespective of whether you have put a header or not, even blank spaces are part of the memorial and you will lose points definitely if you don't do this. So please format your header and footer according to the guidelines, okay? Because you don't want to be losing marks for something as stupid as this. But anyways, we go home, Times New Roman 12 justified, line spacing 1.5. This is irrespective of whether you add a footer or not. Okay, footer or header, but it's usually nice to have the team code as your header. So I say team code 99P for petition. Again, this naming is also based on what is said in the rules. It might be different for your mode, so just be very, very careful in putting it, where to put it, how to put it. So, yeah, see, sometimes they don't even allow you to have a different kind of alignment. Sometimes they say it has to be just justified. So then just read the instructions very, very, very carefully. So there we have a header, right? Great. Um, what else? Yeah, apart from header footer formatting, just check the overall formatting, right? Just do a control A, do Times New Roman 12 and justified 1.5, right? See, all this is justified. Some memos are strict that it has to be justified, so you'll have to, manually move it with the space bar. If they're allowing you like other alignments, just do center alignment instead of just moving it manually. Again, depends on the rules. Just just comply with it very carefully. Okay. So this is about the formatting. What else? Again, footnote formatting we saw. Header footer we saw. What else do we need to see? Let's just look at this for once. File type, great. Then it says header and footer is included. Then we have looked at margins. Did we look at the margins? We didn't look at the margins, right? So let's do that as well. So we'll go to layout, margins, 1 inch. This 2.54 centimeters, basically 1 inch. You can even go to custom margins, but this will be basically 1 inch. Okay, 2.54 centimeters is pretty much 1 inch. So, right, set this accordingly. Apply to whole document. Great. Okay. We have looked at the margins. What else do we look at? Um, Formatting footnotes. We have done formatting footnotes. See, applicant blue, respondent red. You can copy paste this, right? Physical copies of the memorial should be spiral brown grade. Scope of footnotes. Okay, see, here we come. Penalties, late submission. Please submit on time. Don't exceed the word limit. That will have a penalty usually. Okay, and this is like you don't have to follow this exact thing. Okay, this is an example. Just look what are the instructions for your competition. Follow the font size, font type, or else you'll be losing 3 marks. Omission of a specified part or addition of an unspecified part on the cover page will lead you to lose 1 mark, right? So just don't add any section which is not required and don't omit anything that is specifically required, all right? Okay, now this is very interesting. Look at this. Failure to maintain anonymity within the memorial in accordance with this section will lead to loss of 3 marks. What does this mean? That you're supposed to erase your metadata because they don't want the judges or the moot court committee to know who has submitted it so that there won't be any bias in grading. So, how to remove metadata? Okay, it depends on your laptop. Since mine is a Mac laptop, I'll show you how to do it in a Mac. It is different for a Windows laptop. You will find any YouTube video on how to remove your metadata in case you don't know it. But, anyways, here you go to properties, go to summary, author says Titiksha legal, remove it, okay? And say, just look if your identity is anywhere else. No, right? It's just here. So we remove it. You are also supposed to do this. This is go to tools after you have removed your name from file properties, which you just saw. Go to tools, go to protect document, and click here. Okay, remove personal information from this file on save. All right. So this is removing metadata. It's a bit different for if yours is not a Mac laptop, if it's a Windows laptop, but you will find any YouTube video telling you how to do this. All right. So, right, let's come back to the penalty section to make sure we have everything else right. Please, once you're done with the memo, sit with this penalties page and cross check everything, okay? Because usually by the time you're done with the memo, you're exhausted and this seems like a very irritating process to go through, but you don't want to lose points or marks over something as stupid as this. So please check it once. So we were here, failure to maintain anonymity within the memorial in accordance with section will lead to loss of 3 marks, right? Anyways, now we have removed the metadata. Okay, total formatting penalties will not exceed. So you're supposed to even name your file name while submit in a particular manner. Make sure you do that because there's a penalty for that as well. All right. Just one last thing before I end it. So, how to do your penalty check, or how does the organizing committee of any moot court competition check the penalties? So, just follow this because if you have missed out on something, it will just show up here. Okay, so just go to review, track changes, right? And control all, control A, select everything, and say we'll choose the font as Times New Roman. Okay, you know why this came here? Because this part of it was not formatted to Times New Roman. So, can you see that? So, you'll just know where you have missed out on the formatting again here, right? This was not Times New Roman. So, make sure that you know you again this part. So, this will help you format it properly. Then let's look at the line spacing. I do 1.5. Look at this. Can you see this? All this is appearing because it was not according to such a format. If the line spacing was 1.5 throughout, this would not have appeared. All right. So just do this once so that you know that you have followed the formatting guidelines again here. So I'm not going to do it entirely. I'm just so have your track changes on. Have your track changes on and sit with each of these. Have your track changes on and format all of this again. Okay. So you will know whether your formatting is right or wrong. Okay. And in case you're worried how to like make this go, first format it correctly wherever you have messed up. And then you go to accept, you say accept all changes and stop tracking. All right. So that brings us to the end of this video, and I hope we have learned how to build Moot Memorial. In case you have any questions, any queries, you need any kind of help, just feel free to write a mail to Titiksha Legal. Their mail is in the description, or just drop it in the comments. We will get back to you. So good luck. I'm sure if you're seeing this video, you're probably preparing for moot court competition, whether it's your internal rounds or national rounds. So, all the best. Have any doubts, just feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Just trying to wrap your head around the legal world a little bit better? Consider this your official invitation. Subscribe to Titiksha Legal.